We are so grateful to be supported by sponsors like our friends at Shore Capital. In today's venture capital world, it's not just about cash. It's about relationships. Capital is harder to find, limited investors have fewer managers that they can trust, and the industry is just filled with far too much hype. Shore Capital is an early-stage venture fund investing in the world's most ruthlessly iterative founders, helping its limited partners to find founders who are solving the world's most dynamic problems, teams that excel in mastering the idea maze, teams moving with a rapid, iterative velocity and demonstrating radical resourcefulness. Shore Capital doesn't just write checks, though. They become fractional co-founders when needed, offering strategic support, high-leverage relationship development, and a deep commitment to the long-term success of their portfolio companies. If you are a ruthlessly iterative founder with a bold vision or a limited investor seeking sustained access to the brightest big thinkers of our time, Shore Capital wants to meet you. So visit shorecapital.notion.site to learn more.
We are so grateful to be supported by these community champions: Sales MD, Team Friday, Realist Lab, Kiana Patterson, Diego Chavez, Jer Boucher, Heather Ryder, Janine Sua, Lily Roca, and Steve Kernan.
Hey, it's me. I am back. It's Friday. I am here to spend some time with you in our week-ending stoppage time today. It's Friday, September 5th, 2025, and this is episode 57 of Stoppage Time that I've got to hang out with you. What a momentous number that is to think as we share this time together this Friday in this part of this month that we have gathered together, as they would say at church, to enjoy a little bit of conversation and kind of a recap review of recent episodes and recent events here every Friday for 57 times, going back probably 60 plus weeks or longer. So a little over a year. It's pretty incredible. I'm enjoying doing this. I hope you're finding some value and enjoyment in spending a little bit of different time with me outside the scripted interviewer host role that I play on Entrepreneurial Thinkers. But kids are back in school now for folks that have kids and family. Some parts of the country and the world are turning towards autumn or even colder now. And here in Los Angeles, as I've said the last couple of weeks, this time of the year is our summer. So we're enjoying some really summery weather. It's actually really, really hot out the last couple of days. Like, frankly, for me, too hot to be out in public during the day. And so I just saved my long walks for the nighttime, which is really kind of weirdly refreshing, both mentally and physically. So of late this week, honestly, and really for a couple of weeks, but this week in particular, my mind has really just been caught between kind of two realities. On one hand, it's just the constant kind of just overbearing barrage of uncertainty and the seeming kind of daily like reality TV-like madness and nonsense that is spinning across the United States as we try to stave off this fight into some sort of attempted authoritarian version of our government, which is like shredding our Constitution and shredding our prior 250 years of progress that we've made together and individually. And it's disheartening on some days, honestly. But my mind is splintered because the other part of my brain is kind of constantly inspired by these deeply insightful conversations that I get to have each week with our guests on Entrepreneurial Thinkers. And this part of this conversation is not a shameless plug for our show, although everything I do is a shameless plug for our show. But it's honestly like, it's been my saving grace. It's these people that I get to talk with and learn from each week that have helped essentially to keep my pragmatic optimist tank near full. As I converse with these people who are leading by thinking entrepreneurially and differently about the world we live in, and even as parts of it spin out of control, these conversations, knowing that these people are out there doing the work that they do, leading the way they lead, is really reassuring to me. And it's reassuring to me on a number of levels. But one is just a great reminder that there are always more good people than bad people, in my mind, in my opinion, and that there are always good people out there somewhere doing good work, even if you can't see them or you don't know about them. And many of our guests, as you know, many of our alumnus on our show are the underrepresented, underheard, not as famous folks that are quietly leading and building and creating and investing. And so to know that those good people are out there in the corners of the world doing their thing all day, every day, sends me back after our conversations into my life, into my corner of the world, with a great deal more encouragement and kind of revitalization that we will and can push back on the bad guys, and that we will and can kind of maybe get through this to some degree. This week's conversation was particularly fascinating to me. It's with a young mentee of mine named Paco Valencia, Francisco, I call him Paco, who joined me from his prosthetics clinic in Morelia, Mexico, where we talked about everything related to the world of prosthetics. What is a prosthetic, for those that might not know? It's an artificial limb, a hand, an arm, a leg, a foot, anything you could think of in any combination. I mind you, I probably have never thought about prosthetics before I met Paco about 8 years ago in Mexico. And I clearly don't think as much about prosthetics as he and his team do. But this episode left both me and our super talented show producer, Deanna Bernal, absolutely filled with like new knowledge and inspiration about what's possible and about like the amazing good things that also are good business that some people are doing out there in the world. Do you know that there are 40 million plus people in the world with a prosthetic limb? Hundreds of thousands of people per year, like 5, 6, 700,000 people per year in North America alone suffer an amputation and are in need of a prosthetic, which that's just a staggering number of people to me if you think about it. And two things kind of jumped out about this conversation with me. Like one, in spite of that kind of demand, the relatively speaking, like the design and technology behind prosthetics and prosthetic patient care has really kind of gone unchanged for essentially 6,000 years, as Paco educated us during the conversation. It's like there was like 6,000 years of evolution and then like this last 100 years of some progress and some innovation. But even then, it is still kind of attached to the way it's always been. So it is one of those classic areas of the world of life, of business, where you say like, you know, this is the way it's always been done. And that's just simply not good enough. And then it takes the world to find people like Paco to come along and think more entrepreneurially about the problems and the opportunities at hand. We discussed this, and then we discussed how his team is leveraging AI-based design tools and modern manufacturing techniques to produce better, more comfortable prosthetic limbs that do far more than just kind of the painful minimalist experiences that patients have become used to over these last 6,000 years. And so it was a conversation about the future, but it was also a conversation about kind of how we got here, which, as you know, that's my favorite kind of conversation, right? We can't figure out where we're going until we understand how we got here. But honestly, it's not just this conversation with Paco. I've had conversations recently on recent episodes that we've talked about with you here about like economic growth and opportunity in a city like Tijuana, Mexico, which again, most people don't think about as an economically opportunistic city, with Adriana Aguia, our friend, or conversations about how broken the venture capital industry is and how investment capital can be done better and can be done more accessibly and more equitably, with Allison Byers from Scroobius, or the story and rebirth of the startup company Rent-A-Romper, and the rebirth of its founder, Lauren Greger, my friend here, our local LA entrepreneur. Conversations with my friend Jamila Corbett from Virginia, where she is just laser focused on supporting small businesses and called mainstream or Main Street and mainstream entrepreneurs across the country. Climate investment conversations with our friend Fernando Delaria from Spain. Democratizing access to financial tools and credit in Mexico and Latin America with Gabby Estrada, the CEO and founder of Vexi, right? Or even our friend Andres Friedman from Solfium, showing us why his Mexican company is leading the way in scaling solar energy installation. And the list just goes on and on and on and on. Each week, I'm presented with these opportunities to talk to these incredible people. And what you don't know yet is that the roster of upcoming guests that'll fill your feed between this week and the end of October is just a continuation of this roster, this collection of incredibly talented, smart, good people, each and every one of them lighting the way forward towards a better future for all of us. We're going to talk AI for the entertainment industry. We're going to talk AI in civic government technology. We're going to talk about the importance of Latino voices in media and technology. We're going to talk about EV cars, charging EV technology in the United States. We're going to talk about the booming entrepreneurial economy in Chile and Latin America. We're going to talk about the importance of writing in a world where we barely even read books anymore. We're going to talk about the importance of writing as storytelling with a professor of fine arts and writing. We're going to talk about how to build and maintain corporate cultures of trust and respect in our diverse workplaces in this modern era. We're going to talk about innovative thinking in brand design and much, 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 much more. Between now and the end of the year. And I'm now looking forward eagerly to these conversations because I know they're going to basically recharge me. No matter how much the craziness of the world we live in right now depletes me, I know that these conversations I'm going to get to have every week is going to recharge me and refill me with an optimism to keep going and doing what we do. And if it recharges me, it can recharge you as a listener. I say all the time, like, I don't just cheaply ask you to like, follow, subscribe, and share these conversations with others just for our own benefit. I'm asking you or inviting you to do it for your own benefit. We're essentially creating this archival history, right? I said to someone the other day with a bit of emotion in my throat, after we finished recording an episode that will be one of the ones that'll be coming up in the coming weeks, how deeply I believe in the power of the conversations that we curate for you here on Entrepreneurial Thinkers each week. I essentially see myself not as the center piece of this discussion. I see myself as a curious proxy for all of you. I'm here to ask the questions and engage these truly amazing people on things and about things and in ways that I think you would, to find out, to pull out of them their blueprint for how we go forward, especially nowadays when things are so messy. I truly, passionately believe that us adding these conversations to kind of the archive of history will leave this timeless stamp on humanity and our progress together. I absolutely believe that that's what we're doing in our podcast. And it's because of these people and it's because of you, and I'm making it for you, that I humbly submit that we absolutely are already making the world a little bit better than we found it, which is my mantra, clarion call in my mind every episode that I share with you, as my mom planted in me as I was a young child, like that we should enter every day, we should enter every room, we should enter every relationship, every conversation, every engagement with someone else outside our doors, with hopes that we try and leave the world a little bit better or leave that person a little bit better than we found it, right? So with that, that's it. That's my rant for this week. That's our stoppage time together. As always, I wish you all the peace, love, and joy that you deserve this weekend. And I encourage you to believe that we're not just going to get through this period in history together, but that we're really setting ourselves up for one hell of a renaissance and reinvention. And I fundamentally believe on the other side of this, somewhere in this coming decade, that we are actually setting ourselves up to thrive on the other side of all this in the future. I am humbly 100% convinced with every fiber of my being that what is ahead of us is still the greatest period in human history, and in our case here in the United States, in American history. I cannot not believe that when I have the chance to listen to and be inspired by these incredible people that we book as guests and then become alumnus of our show. And so I share that with you all. I love you. I hope you have an amazing weekend. I'll see you right back here next week on Thursday for a new episode of Entrepreneurial Thinkers with another one of these incredible people. And then we'll see you right back here next Friday to spend a little bit of our stoppage time together before we jump into our weekends.
We are so grateful to be supported by sponsors like our friends at Chisos Capital. Everyone knows that raising capital is hard. And frankly, finding the next pool of entrepreneurs to get access to as limited investors is sometimes impossible too. Do you have a big idea, a dream you're building, but you're struggling to find early funding? Well, Chisos is changing the game for founders, creators, athletes, and investors. Whether you're launching a startup, growing your creative brand, or training for the big leagues, Chisos backs you. Chisos uniquely invests up to $100,000 in people, not just products, whether they be entrepreneurs, creators, or even athletes. With their unique CISA model, convertible income share agreements, founders get flexible funding without giving up equity or ownership, and investors get attractive returns and great upside with less risk. Chisos works for both investors and the people bringing our world to life. If you're seeking access to a truly diverse pool of deals, or you're someone who feels overlooked by the VC game, Chisos is ready to back you. So apply now at chisos.io.